Hare Krishna, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, and welcome to the Wednesday night new show. How did you like that, Rochisha Devi Dasi? Quite interesting, eh? And thank you everyone for coming in time. Good to see you, Garuda Prabhu, our good friend. And we are on a campaign to improve our marketing and advertising of our distribution of books and our classes worldwide, because it's an important part of our mission to help other people have a clear understanding of Guru Tattva and the opportunity to take shelter of Prabhupada in his Vani incarnation and to read his books and experience great bliss and joy in such activities. Yes. Now, nowadays, many people don't like to read. We're learning that. Especially the new generation, they read the phone. They've got a phone and, everything is on the phone. Okay, fair enough. And a lot of us have an addiction to our phone or phones. So it's an interesting phenomena to get people to read books. And I'm noticing, Ram Raghava and Garuda Prabhu, that when I speak to a lot of people, because we're speaking to people, myself and especially Yaśodā-nandana, worldwide all week. We're busy every day with this preaching work. And I asked different people that are contacting me from India and England and around the world, have you read Prabhupada's books? Because they asked me questions that they should have known the answers to by reading the books. But when I asked them, the reason I asked them is, have you read the books to see if they understand Prabhupada's philosophy? Generally, most of them say, no, I haven't. So this is Prabhupada actually, and Yaśodā has this quote from Prabhupada that he told us that many of his leaders weren't reading the books, even during his time. So if you don't read, you won't get the real appreciation when we use the term Vani incarnation. Because Prabhupada is manifested in his books, and it's a personal relationship between each individual disciple and the bona fide spiritual master. And we've been blessed, all of us. I know Yaśoda's read extensively. And most of us have read all of the books. And I've been on a campaign constantly of reading, as all of you know, from our classes. I go from one book, extra book, to another book in our programs, and our introductions have changed. Now I'm in the Krishna books, Mother Ruchisha Devi Dasi, and it's quite enlivening to see how Prabhupada has so beautifully presented the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam for all of our benefits. And it's interesting to note, Garuda Prabhu, that some people say that Prabhupada didn't give the highest philosophy, especially those members of the Gaudiya Math that say that. And that's unfortunate. We're not mentioning them or who they are. But this is a philosophy that has been presented by them, that Prabhupada only gave us a certain level of understanding. And if you go ahead and read these Godbrothers books of his, you'll get more in vision than you did with Prabhupada. The reason they say that, Garuda Prabhu, is because they haven't read Prabhupada's books. It's obvious. And we just want to encourage everyone to take up a steady program of reading each week. And if you can't, then come to these classes. Because these classes, if you've seen Garuda, we've changed the class format. Now we have 3 Prabhupada lectures in the class. So you can connect the dots. You can hear the philosophy that we read from the different books. Then you hear the speaking of the individual disciples like us. And then you connect the dots when you hear Prabhupada speak, if we're speaking in line with what he has taught us. You can see it in real life, that this is the principle of no change. The business of the disciple is to repeat exactly, not exactly, but as best as he can recall, or you can recall the philosophy. You repeat it to your best of ability, and people will get the spirit of this. It's a transcendental, I said to Ramaragava before the program, let the nectar roll. That's it. We were preparing for the class. If you have, this is the first section of the introduction. The second is, if you have any ideas on how to market or advertise or sell what we're doing, the classes or the books, please get in touch with me. We have a team of internet specialists that are working together. We have a small team, but they're a good team. And we're ready to go ahead and produce these materials to help all of us spread the mission of Lord Chaitanya, and especially the sale of the Delhi Bhagavatams. And look at Garuda. 2,000 sets. This isn't the one. We have a new cover. It's a very, people love it. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, I spoke to our Rukman Gada. He got his 6 sets of Bhagavatams, and he applauded us. Oh, the covers, the binding, it's beautiful. And of course, the text. These are collector's items, Garuda Prabhu. You know it. you and I can realize how excited Prabhupada was when we read the diaries when he looked out the window from the Jaladuta and saw his trunks coming off the boat into New York City. I can see, personally, I'm not an advanced devotee, but I can visualize him doing that, seeing his books that were in those crates, getting off the boat and coming into New York and him undertaking the mission of spreading Srimad Bhagavatam unto the order of his spiritual master and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We are blessed, everyone. We are representing the bona fide spiritual master and his mission and the mission of the six Goswamis and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that is a fact. And people criticize us. You know that, Garuda. I know you get criticism. And you know that Yaśodā and I get a lot of criticism and backlash. Who do these guys think they are? Well, I'll tell you who we are. Dasa, 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 Anudasa. We, Prabhupada told me that in my initiation. We are all servants of the servants of Srila Prabhupada and the disciplic succession. And he said on Jefferson Avenue back in 1971, Garuda, do not think you're the chief engineer, Vishwakarma, but the servant of the chief engineer. In this way, you will become great. So we're trying to follow that instruction, all of us, all our life. And we're going to go to our reading. Let's just jump right into the nectar. And this is a brief section from ill-motivated Dhritarashtra, chapter 48 of the Krishna book. And all of you, if you want to, refer to it later in the week, you can. You'll love it. Akrura further advised Dhritarashtra, look at the summary. In this material world, no one can remain as an eternal companion to another. By chance only we assemble together in the family, in society, in the community, or in the nation. But at the end, because every one of us has to give up the body, we must be separated. One should not, therefore, be unnecessarily affectionate towards family members. Avanai? Dhritarashtra's affection was also unlawful. It did not show much intelligence. In plain words, Akrura hinted to Dhritarashtra that his staunch family affection was due to his gross ignorance of fact. Although we appear to be combined together in family, society, or nation, each one of us has an individual identity. Everyone takes birth according to individual past work. Therefore, everyone has to individually enjoy or suffer the result of his own karma. There is no possibility of improving one's destiny by cooperative living. Sometimes it happens that one's father accumulates wealth by illegal means, and thus the son takes the money, although it is hard earned by the father. And it's just like a small fish in the ocean who eats the material body of the large and old fish. One ultimately cannot accumulate wealth illegally for the sense gratification of his family, society, community, or nation. That many great empires which developed in the past are no longer existing, and in the future won't, like America, because their wealth was squandered away by later descendants, is an illustration of this principle. One does not know this subtle law of fruit of activities, and thus gives up the principle of moral and ethical principles, only carries with him the reactions of his sinful activities, his ill-gotten wealth and possessions are taken by someone else. Yes, that's true. When you die, Everything goes to everyone else and not with you. And he goes to the darkest regions of hellish life. One should not therefore accumulate more wealth than is allotted to him by destiny. Otherwise, he will be factually blind to his own interest. Instead of fulfilling his self-interest, he will act in just the opposite way for his own downfall. Don't we know so many relatives that have been like that? Huh? Ācārya continued, my dear Dhritarashtra, I beg you to advise you not to be blind about the fact of material existence. Material conditional life, either in distress or happiness, is to be accepted as a dream. One should try to bring his mind and senses under control and live peacefully, very peacefully, for spiritual advancement in Krishna consciousness. In the Caitanya-caritāmṛta, it is said that except for persons who are in Krishna consciousness, everyone is always in a disturbed condition of mind and is full of anxiety. That's pretty comprehensive. Everyone. But if you study the way life is going in the modern society, it's true. Even those who are trying for liberation or merging into the Brahman effulgence, or the yogis who are trying to achieve perfection in mystic power, cannot have peace of mind. So different stages of evolution here. But pure devotees of Krishna have no demands to make of Krishna. They are simply satisfied with service to him. Actual peace and mental tranquility can be attained only in perfect Krishna consciousness. After hearing moral instructions from Ācārya, Dhritarashtra replied, my dear Ācārya, you are very charitable in giving me good instructions. But unfortunately, I cannot accept it. Like a lot of people, you hear the truth, but you deny it. I had a problem today with a god sister I've known for 50 years. She's chastising me. You should be this or that. You shouldn't be so harsh with our so-called god brothers from the past. Well, the truth is the truth. A person who is destined to die does not utilize the effect of nectar. Although it may be administered to him, I can understand your instructions are very valuable. Unfortunately, they do not stay in my flickering mind, just as the glittering lightning in the sky does not stay fixed in a cloud. I can understand only that no one can stop the onward progress of the Supreme Will. I understand that the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna has appeared in the family of the Yadus in order to decrease the overburdened load of this earth. Yes, to annihilate the miscreants. Dhritarashtra gives hints to Ācārya that he had complete faith in Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. At the same time, he was very much partial to his family members. Yes. In the very near future, Krishna would vanquish all the members of this family, and in a helpless condition, Dhritarashtra would take shelter of Krishna's feet. In order to show his special favor to Krishna, Krishna usually takes away, to a devotee, I should say, favor to his devotee. I've experienced this. Krishna usually takes away all the objects of his material affection. Yes, he'll do that. He thus forces the devotee to be naturally helpless, with no alternative than to accept the lotus feet of Krishna. This actually happened to Dhritarashtra at the end of the Battle of Kurukshetra. Dhritarashtra could realize two opposing factors acting before him. He could understand that Krishna was there to remove all the unnecessary burdens of the world. His sons were an unnecessary burden, and he expected that they would be killed. At the same time, he could not rid himself of his unlawful affection for his sons. Understanding these two contradictory factors, he began to offer his respectful obeisances to the personality of Godhead. The contradictory ways of material existence are very difficult to understand. They can only be taken as the inconceivable execution of the plan of the Supreme, who, by his inconceivable energy, creates this material world and enters into it and sets into action the three modes of nature. When everything is created, he enters into each and every living entity and into the smallest atom. No one can understand the incalculable plans of the Supreme Lord. So, amazing, shruta, concise explanation of her philosophy, coming from Ācārya, speaking, advising Dhritarashtra of the position that he and all living entities are in. Very sublime. And if you don't read these books, you will not, and understand that Prabhupada is living. You, in his Vani incarnation with us, in his sound vibration, you won't be able to figure out how to get out of this entanglement of material life. And we're going to move forward with the next part of our program, which is the lecture by Srila Prabhupada. What's the lecture today, Ram Raghava?
The lecture today, Prabhu, is about 6.5 minutes long, and it's entitled, "What is the Aim of Life? What is God?"
What is the aim of life? Well, let's carry on and hear the nectar from the spiritual master, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. Hare Krishna.
Shri Juta Padakamalam.
Translation: Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. Altogether, these 8 comprise my separated material energies.
Bhumirapo nalo vayu khangamano buddhirevacha ahankara iti yang me bhinna prakriti astava. Krishna is explaining himself. God is explaining what is God. That is real knowledge. If you speculate on God, it is not possible. God is unlimited. You cannot understand. God, Krishna in the beginning said, Asangsang samagrang ma yatha gyasasi tatshino. Samagram. Samagram means whatever, samagram means complete. So, whatever subject for study and knowledge there is sum total of everything. One. God is the sum total of everything. Therefore, he begins to explain himself, first of all because we have no information of God, but practically we see the vast land, the vast water, ocean, the vast sky, then fire, so many things, material things also mind is also material, and then ego, everyone is thinking that I am something, aham kartaham iti mannate, ahankara vimurat, this false ego. This ego means false ego. And there is pure ego. The pure ego is aham brahmasmi. And the false ego, I am Indian, I am American, I am African, I am Brahmin, I am Kshatriya. This is false ego, ahankara. So, at the present moment, not at the present time, always, we are surrounded by all these things. That is our beginning of philosophy. Where from this land came, where from this water came, where from the fire came, that is natural input, where from the sky came, how these stars are situated, so many millions and millions. So, these are the inquiries of the intelligent person. That is the beginning of philosophical life. Therefore, those who are thoughtful human beings, gradually they are inquisitive of understanding the Supreme Lord, Krishna. So Krishna is there, and Krishna is explaining himself. I am like this. But unfortunately, we will not understand Krishna. But we will try to speculate. What is God? This is our disease. Krishna is explaining himself, God is explaining himself. We shall not take that statement, but either we shall deny or we shall accept God without any head and leg, and so on, so many things. This is our disease. Therefore, in the previous verse, it has been explained, Manusyanam sahasya, kaschid jadati siddhai, jadatāmapi siddhyanam kaschid vettimam tat. Out of many millions and millions of persons, actually they are serious to understand what is the aim of life, what is God, what is my relation. Nobody is. Just like Saheba Gokul, everyone is interested with this bodily conception of life, like cats and dogs. This is the position. Not only now, always, this is the material condition. But somebody, Manusyanam sahasreshu, out of millions and one tries to understand, to make his life perfect. And out of such perfection means to understand his real constitutional position, that he is not this material body, he is spirit, soul, Brahma. That is perfection. Perfection of knowledge, Brahma Jnana.
To meet a pure devotee and get his association. And this is the situation that we're in, that we've been all blessed. We really are. And it is hard to understand this. But at the same time, if we follow the process personally and chant our rounds every day, and study the books, attend the classes. I did the calculations. There's over 868,000 hours in a lifetime of 80 years. So if you devote simply 6 or 7 hours a week with us, this will help you if you can't read. We'll help you read, and we'll read together. Guru, Shastra, Sadhu, in this way, you'll follow the process of devotional service with us hand in hand and become fixed up in the discipline of Krishna consciousness. And we're going to go forward with our next section, which is the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava that Prabhupada led in all his classes that he gave. And you can sing along with that. Don't be shy. I say that in one of my bhajans. Don't be shy, chant along. People are shy. They hide. They hide in their own little minds and little world. We have to step out and share Krishna consciousness with everyone we meet. And then we'll have a reading and discussion with Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Sign. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yaśodā-nandana Braja Jana Nandana. Yaśodā-nandana Braja Jana Nandana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Hare Krishna. Advaitar Sadasyaman Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavindra ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityānanda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivas Adi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadvip Dham ki jai. Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Jamuna Mai ki jai. Tulasi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you from Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskritya. Narayanam namaskritya. Naram cheva narottamam. Naram cheva narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Tato Jayam Mudirayet. Tato Jayam Mudirayet. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam and Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Srila Vyasadeva, the author, from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1 to 4. Welcome, everyone, to this reading and discussion on Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta. As we do every week, we will be reading a few selected verses from the Adi Lila, chapter 1, from text 18 to 22, which explains the meaning and benefit of hearing this powerful transcendental literature. It should be noted that the following reading is from His Divine Grace, original non-adulterated version of Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta, and all synonyms, translations, and purports are from His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityānanda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Glory to Sri Chaitanya and Nityānanda. Glory to Advaita Chandra, and glory to all the devotees of Sri Gaura, Lord Chaitanya. Etina Thakur Gaudiya Ke Karye Chena Yatmasat. Etinera Charana Bandana Tire Morenat. These three deities of Vrindavana, Madan Mohan, Govinda, and Gopinatha, have absorbed the heart and soul of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, followers of Lord Chaitanya. I worship their lotus feet, for they are the lords of my heart. Grantera Rambikari Mangala Charana. Guru Vaishnava Bhagavan Tinera Smarana. In the beginning of this narration, simply by remembering the spiritual master, the devotees of the Lord, and the personality of Godhead, I have invoked their benedictions. Tinera Smarana Vigna Vinashana Anayasya Nijavan Chita Purana. Such remembrance destroys all difficulties and very easily enables one to fulfill his own desires. Se mangala charanai trivida prakar vastu nirdesha shirvada namaskara. The invocation involved three processes: defining the objective, offering benedictions, and offering obeisances. We will proceed with our specific verse for today. We're reading from the Adi Lila of Caitanya-caritāmṛta, chapter number 5, text 225. Sakshat Brajendra Nasuta ite nahi an Yeba Agni Karitandre Pratima Hemagnan. Sakshat, directly. Vrajendra Suta, the son of Nanda Maharaja. Ite, in this matter. Nahi, there is not. Ana, any exception. Yeba, whatever. Agne, a foolish person. Kare, does. Tanre, unto him. Pratima, as a statue. Emagnana, such a consideration. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Without a doubt, he is directly the son of the king of Vraja. Only a fool considers him a statue. Text 226. Seyaparade nahi kanistar, ghora narakete pade ki kaliba ar. Seyaparade, by that offense. Tara, his. Nahika, there is not. Nistara, deliverance. Ghora, terrible. Narakete, in a hellish condition. Pade, falls down. Ki baliba, what will I say? Ara, more. Translation. For that offense he cannot be liberated. Rather, he will fall into a terrible hellish condition. What more should I say? Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. In the Bhakti Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami has stated that those who are actually very serious about devotional service do not differentiate between the form of the Lord made of clay, metal, stone, or wood, and the original form of the Lord. In the material world, the person in his photograph, picture, or statue are different. But the statue of Lord Krishna and Krishna himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are not different because the Lord is absolute. What we call stone, wood, and metal are energies of the Supreme Lord. And energies are never separate from the energetic. As we have several times explained, no one can separate the sunshine energy from the energetic sun. Therefore, material energy may appear separate from the Lord, but transcendentally it is non-different from the Lord. The Lord can appear anywhere and everywhere because his diverse energies are distributed everywhere like sunshine. We should therefore understand whatever we see to be the energy of the Supreme Lord, and should not differentiate between the Lord in his archa form made from clay, metal, wood, or paint. Even if one has not developed this consciousness, one should accept it theoretically from the instructions of the spiritual master and should worship the archa murti or form of the Lord in the temple as non-different from the Lord. The Lord can appear anywhere and everywhere because his diverse energies are distributed everywhere, like sunshine. We should therefore understand whatever we see to be the energy of the Supreme Lord and should not differentiate between the Lord in his archa form made from clay, metal, wood, or paint. Even if one has not developed this consciousness, one should accept it theoretically from the instruction of the spiritual master and should worship the Archamurti or form of the Lord in the temple as non-different from the Lord. The Padma Purana specifically mentions that anyone who thinks the form of the Lord in the temple to be made of wood, stone, or metal is certainly in a hellish condition. Impersonalists are against the worship of the Lord's form in the temple, And there's even a group of people who pass as Hindus but condemn such worship. Their so-called acceptance of the Vedas has no meaning. For all the acharyas, even the impersonalist Shankaracharya, have recommended the worship of the transcendental form of the Lord. Impersonalists like Shankaracharya recommend the worship of 5 forms, known as Pancha Upasana, which include Lord Vishnu. Vaishnavas, however, worship the forms of Lord Vishnu in his varied manifestation, such as Radha Krishna, Lakshmi Narayana, Sita Rama, and Rukmini Krishna. Mayavadis admit that worship of the Lord's form is required in the beginning, but they think that in the end, everything is impersonal. Therefore, since they're ultimately against worship of the Lord's form, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has described them as offenders. Srimad Bhagavatam has condemned those who think the body to be the self as Bhauma Ijjadi. Bhauma means earth and Ijjadi means worshipper. There are 2 kinds of Bhauma Ijjadi. Those who worship the land of their birth, such as nationalists, who make many sacrifices for the motherland, and those who condemn the worship of the form of the Lord. One should not worship the planet Earth or land of his birth, nor should one condemn the form of the Lord, which is manifested in metal or wood for our facility. Material things are also the energy of the Supreme Lord. Text 227. Ena ye Govinda Prabhu Painu Yan Haete Tanhara Chana Kripa Ke Pare Varnite. Ena, thus, ye Govinda, this Lord Govinda, Prabhu, Master, Painu, I got, Yan Haete, from whom? Tanhara, his, Charana Kripa, mercy of the lotus feet. Ke, who? Pare, is able. Varnite, to describe. Translation. Therefore, who can describe the mercy of the lotus feet of him, Lord Nityānanda, by whom I have attained the shelter of this Lord Govinda? Text 228. Vrindavane Vaisayata Vaishnava Mandala Krishna Nama Parayana Parama Mangala. Vrindavane, in Vrindavana, Vaise, there are, Yata, all, Vaishnava Mandala, groups of devotees. Krishna Nama Parayana, addicted to the name of Lord Krishna. Parama Mangala, all auspicious. Translation. All the groups of Vaishnavas who live in Vrindavana are absorbed in chanting the all-auspicious name of Krishna. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasme Shigurave Namaham Namaom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityānanda Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasme Shigurave Namaha Bhagavad Bandhanam Khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadate Visheshataham Adadana Danteridam Yache Punaha Punaha Srimaduru Papadam Bhoj Dhulisyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavatusmyaham Sadadaso asmi sarabata tat kripa pikshago nityam tat prista sadkaromi svam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityānanda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This particular section of Sri Caitanya-caritāmṛta is especially important when we look at the purport of text number 226. Srila Prabhupada very nicely explains the Archamurti Tattva, or the definite truth of understanding the form of the Lord. There's a class of atheistic people, and sometimes so-called religionists, who think that the Lord cannot have a form, cannot manifest a form. This kind of conclusion is due to a poor fundamental knowledge. Or if he has a form, it is a material form. These kind of conclusions are born from those who have not carefully studied under the direction of a bona fide Acharya. That's why we find in the Chandogya Upanishad, Acharyavan Purusho Veda, that one should accept a bona fide Vaishnavacharya to understand the Vedic literatures. Now, Adi Shankaracharya himself was a disguised Vaishnava. He wrote several Vaishnava literatures, such as Bhajagovindam, the Narasimha Karavalamba Stotram, the Jagannatha-ashtakam, the Yamuna-ashtakam, various Vaishnava songs, but his followers do not carefully study his conclusions. They get misled by word jugglery. Thus, this is mentioned in the Padma Purana. Mayavadam asat shastram prachannam bodhamuchyate. Mayeva kalpitam devi kalau brahmana rupina. The philosophy of the Buddhist is very similar to the philosophy of the Mayavadis. As a matter of fact, some of the immediate followers of Shankaracharya in their commentaries use terminology that was found in various Buddhist texts. Very similar. That's why it's called Shunyavad. Mayavada is also Shunyavad, or voidism. They say that you worship the form of the Lord, and at the end you will merge with the Lord. Thank you. Let's clarify. Here we go. Here's the actual text. Here's the translation. Lord Shiva informed Goddess Durga, the superintendent of the material world, in the age of Kali, I take the form of a Brahmana and explain the Vedas through false scriptures in an atheistic way, similar to Buddhist philosophy. In the purport, Prabhupada explains, the word Brahmana Murtina in this verse refers to the founder of Mayavada philosophy, Shankaracharya, who was born in the Malabar district of southern India. Mayavada philosophy states that the Supreme Lord, the living entities, and the cosmic manifestation are all transformations of illusory energy. To support this atheistic theory, the Mayavadis cite false scriptures which make people bereft of transcendental knowledge and addicted to fruitive activities and mental speculation. This verse is a quotation from the Padma Purana, Uttarakanda 25.7. Now, this is very important because, of course, in America, you don't see too many followers of Shankaracharya, although there are some. But in South India, it's very prevalent. We had an interesting exchange one time with a Mayavadi who wanted to debate. And our first point was, this temple that you have here, is this Mithya or Satya? You say Brahma Satya Jagan Mithya. That Brahman is the truth and everything else is false. This universe is false. So this temple you have here, is this false or it is real? If it is real, you've just defeated your own philosophy. If it is false, you can give it to us and we'll use it for service of the Supreme Brahman. So which is it? He had to admit he really had no answer. Because it is all based on world jugglery and mental speculation. The other day, last Sunday, we were explaining the Mayavadis, when they look at the various texts of the Vedas, of the Upanishads especially, they have classified these different texts into two different classifications. The texts which describe the impersonal Brahman or Nirvishesha Brahman, they consider that Paramartika or supreme text. The texts which describe the Saguna Brahman or the Brahman with a form, they consider that Vyavaharika or less important. Of course, if you ever challenge them and ask them, where did Vedavyas ever classify the text in the Vedanta Sutra or the Shastra like that? It doesn't exist. Another example of mental speculation and overactive brain damage. Same thing in our movement. You have people, you will present them quotations from Prabhupada about not changing his books, about not changing his teachings, about not misinterpreting, about not mental speculating, about so many things. Specifically, don't change his books. And they will say, but, they will have so many arguments with but, the managers or the BBT or the GBC said this and this and this. So they've resorted to the same classification that Prabhupada's statements to them are just Vyavaharika, less important. But the statements of the managers, that is Paramartika, that is most important. Even though many of these statements will contravene and disagree with Prabhupada's instructions in his books and in his teachings. And we've seen this on so many issues, but specifically on the issue of not changing his book. It's interesting to note, and we've mentioned this before, even the Mayavadi Sampradayas in South India, they don't change the writings of Adi Shankaracharya. They don't touch his words because they know it's disrespectful. You can't do that. The Ramanujas, the Sri Vaishnavas do not do that. The Madhvas do not do that. But the self-appointed acharyas of ISKCON do that. That's why it's called the LJEP, the Living Guru Experimental Project. They experiment every day or every year with a new idea, a new angle, a new philosophy, a new interpretation to try to justify their monopoly on spiritual advancement. Of course, that will not work, and it is not working. Because anybody who even has a very basic understanding of Prabhupada's teachings and who bothers reading his books, I'm referring to his original non-adulterated books, will understand that you cannot change the words of a great personality like Srila Prabhupada. Not only is it disrespectful and blasphemous, it is not good etiquette. If you write a book, no one has the right to change your book. Prabhupada even mentions that in a lecture, that if you want to write a book, you write your own book. Don't take my book and change my meaning. I'm paraphrasing here. Because those who claim to be following Prabhupada while simultaneously changing and disrespecting Srila Prabhupada are uttering major contradictions. If you follow Prabhupada, don't change his words. If you change his words and change his books, you're not following Prabhupada. How much brain does it take to understand that Prabhupada did not want his books to be changed? Interestingly, in 1970 in Los Angeles in July, I had a conversation with one of Prabhupada's servants. His name was Kartikeya. And I asked him, what is GBC that is being formed? What is the purpose? We know what is a temple president, what is a Samkirtan leader, what is a treasurer, what is a secretary. We all know what all these people are supposed to do. What is this GBC supposed to do? What is their function? And he explained Prabhupada made this arrangement so that he wanted that his teachings and his instruction should be followed exactly the original way that he presented them, especially for the aftermath of his eventual departure. He did not want his original teachings to be changed and his books to be changed. Well, guess what? That's exactly what has happened. Some of you may be familiar with a letter in 1972 after Prabhupada suspended the entire GBC. And Prabhupada wrote to Hamsuda, what will happen when I'm not there? Will the GBC spoil everything? Unquote. You be the judge. You look at the history. Look what they have done. Look what they're doing now. Ask yourself, what is the GBC Society of West Bengal? When did Srila Prabhupada ever authorize any devotee or group of devotees to start their own society within the GBC to make every temple subordinate to them? Where did Prabhupada ever say to do that? Nowhere. It's the same thing. Where did Prabhupada ever say to change his Bhagavad Gita? Nowhere. Where did Prabhupada ever say that he was appointing some successor in some so-called ISKCON Diksha gurus? Nowhere. There are so many instructions like that because of mental speculation. I was told by one devotee in 1969 when Prabhupada said no gambling, that includes no mental speculation. We all know the disease. They want to change everything, amend everything, reinterpret everything. Very dangerous tendency. Very dangerous tendency which leads to confusion and chaos. Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatikra Vidim Vina Ekantikir Harer Bhaktir Utpatayeva Kalpate. In the Bhakti-rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion, there's a very important verse that Prabhupada used to often quote, that devotional service which does not follow the Shruti, the Smriti, and the Pancharatra is not authorized and simply will cause a disturbance in society, both in regular society and in the devotional society. Some people will say, oh, we follow the principle, but you don't follow the principle, no mental speculation. We've seen this. We see this every day, so many different interpretations. Devotees should be aware, do not become victimized by the propaganda of the LGEP, the Living Guru Experimental Project. Very important point. Again, to whom it may concern. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Well, it's interesting to note in today's purport how Prabhupada explains about the absolute nature of Krishna's potencies. And in a recent lecture I was listening to, Prabhupada told us that the name of Krishna and the form of Krishna are non-different because of the transcendental power of sound emanating from the spiritual world. There's a big difference between name and form in the material world and name and form, non-dual form of sound in the spiritual realm. And it's a linking process that's available through the Maha Mantra, first of all, that Krishna is non-different than his name. And Prabhupada said, as we all know, Garuda, Prabhu, that when you chant Hare Krishna, that Krishna is dancing on the tip of your tongue. And of course, there's a stipulation that one should chant without any offense. So pure chanting of the holy name is the cure for the material disease. And here it's very interesting, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, how Prabhupada explained here in the purport in text 226 that Rupa Goswami stated that those who are actually very serious about devotional service do not differentiate between the form of the Lord made of clay, metal, stone, or wood, and the original form of the Lord. In the material world, that a person in his photograph, picture, or statue are different. But the statue of Lord Krishna and Krishna himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are not different because the Lord is absolute. So we can also see the position of the spiritual master in the same light. and understand that whatever the spiritual master speaks is Shastra. And people will minimize that. Yes. And people will even blaspheme Prabhupada Yashoda. I just saw a recent post from Ajamil, some godbrother of ours, so-called. And he said that, how can you get initiation from a guru that is dead? Referring to Srila Prabhupada has died, and it's not possible for anyone to get initiation from him because he's no longer present. He reasons ill that thinks that Vaishnava is dying. They live on in sound and spread the glories of the holy name all around. That's a fallacy. It's called misinformation. You see, misinformation, Garuda Prabhu, is a tool of people in the Kali Yuga. Most predominantly, we see even in the governments where you're in America. You see there's a constant misinformation program going on between the Democrats and the Republicans. Well, the same way, there are devotees, Prabhupada disciples in ISKCON, and Prabhupada disciples who are not in that organization, have formed their own organization, that are saying that Prabhupada is living, not dead. Now, they criticize us, very much so, and will be persecuted for it. That's common. They'll say that we're cheating people, misleading them, but they are doing it. Misinformation. Not only misinformation, they use another technique called cover-up. In other words, somebody misrepresents the philosophy, carries on in a particular role, makes a mistake, and instead of people acknowledging this mistake, they bring up the strategy of cover-up. Cover it up. Out of sight, out of mind. And this is the situation that's going on. And it ignores the principles of Bhakti Yoga as expounded in this today's verse. Therefore, the material energy may appear separate from the Lord, but transcendentally is not different from the Lord. The Lord can appear anywhere and everywhere because his divine energies are distributed everywhere like sunshine. We should therefore understand whatever we see to be the energy of the Supreme Lord should not be differentiated between the Lord and his archa form made from clay, metal, wood, or paint. What to speak of Prabhupada's books, which are transcendental knowledge delivered by the pure devotee without any adulteration. That's why, thank you, Prabhu, for bringing that point up, about people changing things, people that have so-called some kind of status by wearing a certain color robe or being appointed or elected as a certain officer in an organization or a corporation. No, that's not the way that transcendental knowledge is transmitted. This is a fallacy, very much. It's filled with fallacies, and yet people believe it. Today, I was mentioning about a particular devotee that was part of a conspiracy to commit murder. It's true. And we have people with direct evidence in that regard. And this female devotee that I've known for 50 years, she said, "Oh, I lived in New Vrindavan and I know the facts of the matter, and you shouldn't say any of that." I said, "Say any what? I didn't say anything that was untrue. I told the truth. But yet people will attack us. Who do you think you are, Vishwa? Some kind of big shot? No. Telling the truth is not a reflection of false ego. That you know something that they don't know. We know things that are the truth that have been told to us by authorities that we know tell the truth. And especially coming from Srila Prabhupada, we know so many truths, and we simply repeat them. Because we know there are facts. We're not fault finders, everyone. We're fact finders. And these facts help us to understand how to properly participate in the process of bhakti yoga. Oh yes. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. Hear and chant in association with the bona fide spiritual master. This is sin, Yaśodā-nandana, that we promote Prabhupada as guru. And then we have to go through all kinds of explanations between this person and that person to try to prove that Prabhupada is the pure devotee. And if you don't follow what they say, they condemn you. It's just a sad state of affairs, and this is going on. And we're at another section of our program. Yaśoda is going to read from this new selection of articles that gives an insight into this problems that have come about in the modern 2025. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, let's go on with the next section.
Thank you. We'll be reading from a booklet called Our Living Guru, which was compiled originally. The outline was compiled in 1983, and it was published in 1993, dealing with certain philosophical irregularities from the LGEP, the Living Guru Experimental Project. Chapter 1, Section 4, what is the difference between imitating and following, and what are the respective results? Answer, Srila Prabhupada warned numerous times about the potentially dangerous results of imitating the pure devotee and great powerful personality. Quote, it is best, therefore, that one not try to imitate the powerful, but simply endeavor to follow their instructions, from a Bhagavad Gita lecture on the 30th of December 1968 in Los Angeles, California. Next, from Adi Lila, chapter 7, text 88. Actual blissful spiritual life manifested in genuine spiritual laughing, crying, and dancing is the symptom of real advancement in Krishna consciousness, which can be achieved by a person who voluntarily engages in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. If one is not yet developed, imitates such symptoms artificially, he creates chaos in the spiritual life of human society. Srila Prabhupada definitely did not support some of the fundamental pillars of the Living Guru Project, such as one may imitate the Mahabhagavat, Srila Prabhupada, because it is good for preaching and it produces so many practical results. Instead, Srila Prabhupada views this imitative tendency as a pillar of disaster. Quote, one who tries to imitate the Mahajans just to become an imitative spiritual master is certainly far away from following in the footsteps of the Mahajans, from Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Madhya Lila 17, 185. So don't try to imitate. My Guru Maharaj has strictly forbidden. Don't try to imitate big personalities like Haridas Thakur, Rupa Goswami, he used to say. So it is no use imitating Rupa Goswami to imitate the dress, and then as soon as there is an opportunity, smoke bidi. Don't do this nonsense. There is no use. Imitation. Anusarana, following, not anukarana, imitating. Anukarana is dangerous. Anusaran, sadhumarga gamanam. This is bhakti. We shall try to follow the footsteps of big devotees, sadhus. We cannot. We shall try to follow. Don't try to imitate. That is very dangerous. lecture by Srila Prabhupada on the 25th of February, 1977. Prabhupada further warned of the dangerous results of the imitative mentality displayed by some of his students. Mahajanoyena gatasa panta. Mahajans, great personalities, what they have done, you cannot imitate them. You have to follow them. You have to follow the instructions of Krishna or his representative, but you cannot imitate them. Then you'll fall down. From a lecture by Srila Prabhupada on 1st of May, 1969 in Boston. Similarly, those who are powerful, Ishvara, godly, you cannot imitate their actions. Similarly, we cannot imitate the powerful. We have to simply follow the instructions of the powerful. From a Prabhupada conversation on the 4th of June, 1974. Srila Prabhupada takes the matter even further, severely condemning the imitative tendency of neophytes who think they have become liberated. Therefore, you must follow the regulative principles. As soon as you become a rascal, now I've become advanced, I don't require to chant 16 rounds, I can do whatever I like. Then he has gone to hell. Upstart, immediately he becomes a Paramamsa. He is rascal. He was given the path of becoming Paramamsa. One is admitted in the school, he must learn. And one day, he will become MA. But simply by entering in the school, if he says, I'm an MA, that is rascaldom. One has to try very rigidly, then he'll become Paramamsa. Therefore, amongst the devotees, there are 3 grades, Kanishta-adhikari, Madhyama-adhikari, and Uttama-adhikari. So if the Kanishta-adhikari thinks that I have become Uttama-adhikari, then he is rascal. He is a rascal. If he wants to imitate the Uttama-adhikari, then he is rascal. From a morning walk on the 4th of February, 1976. Back to you in the studio. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Haribol. Yeah, it's very interesting, that comment, Yaśodā-nandana to Prabhu, of you don't have to chant your rounds, Prabhupada says. If you think you don't have to chant your rounds, then you'll fall down. It's that simple. And it was interesting that in my life, I've had that experience. You recall many years ago, Prabhu, that devotee from out west, he sent me this Govinda, this book by Burijan. What was it called now?
Lilamrita.
Govinda Lilamrita. He's telling me, oh, you got to read this book. And we know that Prabhupada didn't recommend that for us. No. It's the intimate pastimes of Krishna, which are beyond our neophyte position. And at the same time, Rochisha Devidasi, he told me personally, hey, Vishva, why don't you take disciples? You don't need to chant your rounds anymore. Why don't I take disciples? One. Well, where do I get the authority to initiate, mister? Am I going to concoct that authority? No, mental concoction is not something that we're about. But at the same time, then he's telling me, you don't need to chant your rounds. Well, Prabhupada just told us, you have to chant your rounds. And here's another point. And we're going to, before we go to our lecture, we're going to ask our friend Garuda to speak. Prabhupada would always tell us that we had to chant our rounds. It was a minimum requirement of a disciple to do that. It's not that we can concoct something that isn't real. That's what people do. Prabhupada uses the term posing, posturing, and pretending. That's what they're doing. You see them in the kirtans, pretending. And let me say this before we move along. When you see videos of Srila Prabhupada in his japa classes, and we've introduced Japa Garuda into the program here, it's really great. And we leave the microphone on so everybody can chant into the microphone with all of us together. So it's, we're evolving, let's put it that way. But when you see Prabhupada walking around his room chanting, wherever he goes, he always had his beat bag. I remember I drove Prabhupada in the car to Buffalo from Toronto. Now, due to traffic conditions and circumstances, it was 3 hours for the drive. Now, was that tough for me? No, it wasn't. I wish I could be driving that car forever with Prabhupada in the back seat and me not falling asleep at the wheel. But the point is, Prabhupada chanted throughout the travel. Prabhupada wasn't making a show of Krishna consciousness. It is a discipline, just like a martial artist. You think a martial artist can pretend to be a good boxer and then get in the ring and fight somebody who is really trained and disciplined and expect to win? No, you don't win by faking, pretending, posing, posturing. You win by the fact that you personally, the individual fighter or devotee, practices this process. So these are some stories for all of us to ponder on. And, it's good to see you, brother, Garuda Prabhu. Yes. I see your beard is still growing. It looks kind of nice, actually. I like it.
It's my professor look. It's my professor look.
Yeah. Are you going to change it when you get older? Or older?
I am older.
I corrected me. Older.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, that's not correct English. Just kidding.
Vishwakarmaji.
Go ahead, please. Just talk about what we're talking about. Go ahead.
Yeah, I see a running theme here.
Yes, please.
And this is such a powerful thing that I think anyone who was with Prabhupada
Yes.
could see the embodiment of authenticity.
Yeah.
And I think that the passage that Yaśodā-nandana ji read, and that the way you're talking and so on, this is authenticity. It's interesting in this these last words about anukāra and anusāra, and the difference between imitating and following. There was a point in Prabhupada's last months in Vrindavan, the BI was holding a conference. Prabhupada wanted the intellectuals to start moving forward in their work, and that gave him a lot of pleasure to see that. But someone brought before Prabhupada some business cards of some sannyasi, one of our sannyasis, and put PhD after his name. And he did not have a PhD. And Prabhupada was furious. Prabhupada wanted excellence. He wanted authenticity. He wanted the real article. He did not, and same with the philosophy. I mean, all up and down. Prabhupada was really consistent this way. He also wanted this, expanded this into other traditions. Yes, if you want to be a Christian, then be truly, sincerely a Christian. He expected authenticity from us. He expected it from others. I was in the room with Prabhupada, just sitting a few feet away from him, when a scholar, this was in Philadelphia, 1975 in the summer, when Prabhupada came for Rath-yatra. And Ravindra Swarup brought this professor from the university, local Temple University, and he was an Indian professor. And he said, Prabhupada, I am teaching Hinduism, but I do not know what is Hinduism. He said, you're teaching Hinduism and you don't know what Hinduism is? He said, yes, I'm teaching the Hinduism, but I do not know what it is. And he just insisted on this and persisted and persisted. And Prabhupada got so furious with him. I've never seen Prabhupada so angry in all the many, many times I've been to his lectures and in his room. It was scary, actually. And what was it about? Authenticity. This is what Prabhupada demanded of us, is authenticity. So thank you for your words, and Yaśodā-nandana ji, thank you for your words too, and the readings.
Yeah, very interesting. You know, it's interesting to note that Prabhupada did chastise his disciples.
Yeah.
And some people have this image that if they're chastised, that's not the way that you should be treated. But the fact of the matter is, if you're a teacher, you have to chastise.
You have to correct. That's right.
You have to correct the student.
That's right.
Someone, like for me, sometimes I may yell at our people, some of our new people, but it's not out of anger, it's out of love. You're not listening. That's generally what happens. Or you're not acting what you've read in your relationship with others. Like, for example, in relation with us, there's been so much trouble in the society amongst our God brothers, correct? So what happens is everybody is put into the same category of useless. The Prabhupada disciples are useless. Well, there's been a lot of useless things done, yes, okay, but we cannot lump everybody into one thing. And you know, you have to judge everything by its actions. And the people that are working together, like all of us, to protect the authenticity of the message of Srila Prabhupada without any change. And before we move to our lecture, I'm going to have our godbrother Yaśodā-nandana make a few comments just before we move to the next section of our program. Ram Raghava. So Yaśodā, please, go ahead.
I think one very important point that's been made here by both Garda and yourself is to be real. Prabhupada was never fond of cheap sahaja imitation. He never structured his society so that devotees would pretend statuses that they've not achieved or positions that they've not realized. In other words, Srila Prabhupada was very practical. He knew the whole history of the Gaudiya Sampradaya. He knew of all the defiant groups in Bengal. He knew of all the caste Brahmanism from India. He was very aware of it, and he did not want these deviations to be introduced in his society. It's as simple as that. How many purports in the Caitanya-caritāmṛta have we seen where Prabhupada warns about all these deviations, of all the different concoctions, the dangers to the plant of bhakti, the dangers to the growth of devotions? It's all explained there. I was just talking to a devotee in India yesterday explaining, just because somebody has got a so-called initiation somewhere doesn't mean they got the Bhakti-lata Bij. They may have gotten some other Bij, and Prabhupada confirms that. In the Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Madhya Lila, chapter 19, text 152, Lord Chaitanya's instruction to Rupa Goswami. Prabhupada says clearly in the purport, if one does not receive the Bhakti-lata Bij from the spiritual master, instead he cultivates the Jnana Bij, the Karma Bij, or social, political, or philanthropic Bij. So there's a lot of different seeds somebody may be cultivating even unknowingly. So receiving the Bhakti-lata Bij starts with hearing, submissive hearing from the Acharya, and not concocting or manufacturing different interpretations. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Yes, and really, Garuda Prabhu, the most important principle of this philosophy is Guru Tattva. How can you learn something from an unqualified person? You can't. So it starts there, it ends there. So Prabhupada lives in sound, and his followers live with him. And we're going to move to this next section where, there's a section. Read that for us. Ram Raghava, read that. Bhakti Lata.
Bhakti Lata Bij means the seed of devotional service. Everything has an original cause or seed. For any idea, program, plan, or device, there is first of all the contemplation of the plan, and that is called bija, or the seed. The methods, rules, and regulations by which one is perfectly trained in devotional service constitute the Bhakti Lata Bij, or the seed of devotional service. This Bhakti Lata Bij is received from the spiritual master by the grace of Krishna. Other seeds are called Anya Bhilasha Bij, Karma Bij, and Jnana Bij. If one is not fortunate enough to receive the Bhakti Lata Bij from the spiritual master, he instead cultivates the seeds of Karma Bij, Jnana Bij, or political and social or philanthropic Bij. However, Bhakti Lata Bij is different from these other Bijas. Bhakti Lata Bij can be received only through the mercy of the spiritual master. Therefore, one has to satisfy the spiritual master to get Bhakti Lata Bij. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasadaha. Bhakti Lata Bij is the origin of devotional service. Unless one satisfies the spiritual master, he gets the Bij, or root cause, of karma, jnana, and yoga without the benefit of devotional service. However, one who is faithful to his spiritual master gets the Bhakti Lata Bij. This Bhakti Lata Bij is received when one is initiated by the bona fide spiritual master. After receiving the spiritual master's mercy, one must repeat his instructions, and this is called Shravana Kirtana, hearing and chanting. One who has not properly heard from the spiritual master, or who does not follow the regulative principles, is not fit for chanting, kirtan.
Yes, so this is the basis of our philosophy and our effort, your Garuda, is to inspire people, and we have a large number of people that are moving forward, aspiring to become Prabhupada disciples. And it's philosophically correct, it's not concocted, and it's properly understood if you follow this process without any personal motivation. That's as simple as it is. And we're going to move forward and confirm this in this next section. Pay attention to this, Garuda Prabhu, this next section of Prabhupada speaking to us. Roll that next section for us, Ram Raghava.
Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam.
Krishna said, that's how you are thinking of the material scientists, they're studying earth. So, what is called soil expert. They are studying soil, where is mine, where is gold, where is coal, where is this, that, so many things they are studying. But they do not know where from these things came. Yes, Krishna explained that Bhinna me prakriti, this is my energy. My energy. How these different chemicals and earthly matters become manifested, everyone is inquisitive, any thoughtful man, here is the answer. Here is the answer. That bhamirapanalovāyo khang mano buddhirevaca ahankara iti agame bhinna prakriti astadha. Bhinna prakriti astadha. Just like I am speaking, it is being recorded. Recorded. But in my absence, if the record is played, it will exactly vibrate the same sound. So that is my energy, or anyone's energy, but bhinna, separated from me. You have to understand like that. So everything is energy of God, Krishna. But this material world means we are missing Krishna. Where from this energy has come, that point we are missing, bhinna. One who knows, just like the same example, in the record, the play is going on, but one who does not know who has recorded this speech, he cannot find out. But one who knows voice, he can understand it is coming from Prabhupada, this meaning. Similarly, the energy is there, but because we have forgotten the source of the energy, or we do not know the source of the energy, therefore we take material things as final. This is our ignorance. This Prakriti, this material world, is composed of these things. Bhumi, Rapo, Manalo, Vayu, Khangamano, Buddhi. So where from this came? That Krishna explains that they are my energies. Because you have to know. So, see, to understand Krishna means one must know what is this earth, what is this water, what is this fire, what is this air, what is this sky, what is this mind, what is this ego, this material thing. They should know that where from these things came. They only theorize that water is combination of some chemical, hydrogen, oxygen. But where from the chemical came? Hydrogen, oxygen. That they cannot answer. So therefore, this is called Achinta Shakti. Achinta Shakti. If you do not apply, if you refuse Achinta Shakti in God, Achinta Shakti, inconceivable energy, then there is no God. Achinta Shakti Sampanna. Now you can understand what is that Achinta Shakti. Achinta Shakti, you have got also. Achinta Shakti. Everyone, because we are part and parcel of God, therefore minute. We are, what is the ratio? The ratio is, it is said in the Shastra, what is that? Kesagra satabhagasya satadha kalpitasya cha jiva bhaga samvidya savignena sa anantaya kalpita. Kesagra satabhagasya. Just giving an idea. What is that? The tip of the hair, just a small full stop. You divide this point into 100 parts. And that one part again divide into 100 parts. That is means 1/10,000 part of the tip of the hair. That is a full stop line. That is the magnitude of the jiva. Spirit, spiritual spark, molecular parts, atomic parts. So, kesagra satubhagasya satudha kalpitasya cha jiva bhaga savijñaya sa anantaya kalpate. So there is magnitude, but because in the material eyes, we can see simply the gross thing. The subtle things we cannot understand. But from the Shastra, you have to understand. From the Shruti, then you will understand. There is verse in the Bhagavad Gita, Indriyani pararahu, Indriyabha paramana, manasasya paro buddhi. Just like here it is said, mana buddhi, manasasya para buddhi. Finer or superior than the mind is intelligence. That is another place, it is also explained. The gross thing means these senses, Indriyani pararahu, this is gross vision. I see a man, means I see his body, his eyes, his ears, his hands and legs and everything. That is gross vision. But finer than this gross senses, there is mind, which is controlling the senses. That you do not see. Indriyani pararahu, indriyabha paramana. Then mind is controlled by the intelligence. Manasasya paro buddhi. So you have to study like that. Simply like layman, If you dismiss that there is no God, there is no soul, this is simply rascaldom. Simply rascaldom. Don't remain rascals. Here is Bhagavad Gita. Learn everything very particularly, very minutely, and it is open for everyone.
It's open for everyone. No discrimination. Color, race, creed, rich, poor. The opportunity is open to everyone. It's just a matter of our desire and our determination to understand the opportunity and then take advantage of it. And this is what we're doing, Garuda. We're all working together as a team to build this momentum and spread this mission without any adulteration. And we're going to move to this next section of our program. Ram Raghava, what's going on YouTube?
On YouTube, there are 10 people watching.
Okay.
No questions.
And what's the next section here?
The next section is a kirtan by Srila Prabhupada, 2 minutes and 54 seconds.
The engineer spoke. Let's move that forward. So chant along with that. And after that, what are we going to do? Are we going to chant japa?
Then we're going to have the 10 offenses recited and then one round of japa with Srila Prabhupada.
Then the closing remarks. And then we might have run something after. It's up to you, Ram Raghava, to make a decision what you're going to play. All glories to the Sankirtan movement. And thank you, everyone, for being a part of this. Keep going. Don't stop. Never give up.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Nectar of Devotion, Chapter 8, Offenses to be Avoided. The offenses against the chanting of the holy name are as follows. First, to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. Second, to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. Sometimes the atheistic class of men take it that any demigod is as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. But one who is a devotee knows that no demigod, however great he may be, is independently as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, if someone thinks that he can chant Kali, Kali or Durga, Durga, and it is the same as Hare Krishna, that is the greatest offense. Third, to disobey the orders of the spiritual master. Fourth, to blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature in pursuance of the Vedic version. Fifth, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination. Sixth, to give some interpretation on the holy name of the Lord. Seventh, to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name of the Lord. Because by chanting the holy name of the Lord, one can be freed from all kinds of sinful reactions. It should not be taken that one may continue to act sinfully and after that chant Hare Krishna to neutralize his sins. Such a dangerous mentality is very offensive and should be avoided. 8. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities. Karma Kanda. 9th. To instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. Anyone can take part in chanting the holy name of the Lord, but in the beginning one should not be instructed about the transcendental potency of the Lord. Those who are too sinful cannot appreciate the transcendental glories of the Lord, and therefore it is better not to instruct them in this matter. 10th. To not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy names, and to maintain material attachments, even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success.
Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Ram 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 Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Ram 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Ram 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram 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 Hare Krishna Ram 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 Hare Krishna
feel like keep an eye on it. I say it's good. It's right here in front. I can keep an eye on you.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Krishna, 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 Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Krishna, Krishna, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Ram Ram,
Hare Krishna,
Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Ram Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Ram.
Hare Hare. Let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnava devotees. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaham. I offer my respectful obeisances. We all offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Thanks, everybody, for participating in this lively reading and discussion. Thanks, Ram Raghava Prabhu in Georgia, Vishwakarma Prabhu in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, Shriya Mataji in South India somewhere, Krishna Katha Prabhu, San Diego, Rupa Goswami Prabhu in Mumbai, India, Michael Dillon in Yuba City, California, Bhakta Roy in Mississippi, Bhakta Vinay somewhere in South India, and Radharani Mataji with a beautiful pom-pom. Viprahita Prabhu, the father of Ram Raghava, thank you very much for participating. Namaskar, namaskar. And everybody, Rochisa Mataji dans la belle province de Québec. Thank you, everybody, for participating. And let's go on to the next phase of the program. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam.
The devotees know there is God and He is Bhagavan. God is called Bhagavan. Therefore, although it is said here, Bhagavad Gita is spoken by Krishna, everyone knows, but in some places in the Bhagavad Gita it is described as Bhagavan Uvas. Bhagavan and Krishna, the same person. Krishna Su Bhagavan Usayam. Bhagavan, there is a definition of the word Bhagavan. Aishajyasya samagras bijyasya jasasasya jnana vairāgyasya sara iti bhavangana. Bhava, you will understand the word Bhagavan, Bhagya. The Bhagya, Bhagavan, this word comes from Bhava. Bhava means opulence. Opulence means riches. How one man can be opulent? If he has got money, if he has got intelligence, if he has got beauty, if he has got reputation, if he has got knowledge, if he has got renunciation. This is the meaning of Bhagavan. So when we speak Bhagavan, this Bhagavan, the Parameshwara, Ishvara, Parameshwara, Atma, Paramatma, Brahma, Parabrahma, there is two words. One is ordinary and the other is Param, supreme. Just like in our cooking process, we can cook varieties of rice. Rice is there, the varieties of names are there. Anna, Paramanna, Puspanna, Khichuranna, like that. So, the supreme Anna is called Paramanna. Param means the supreme. Anna, the rice is there, but it has become supreme. Ordinary rice is not called supreme rice. This is also rice. And when you prepare rice with kheer, means milk and other nice ingredients, it is called Paramanna. Similarly, the symptoms of living entities and Bhagavan, one is practically the same. Bhagavan, we have got this body, Bhagavan has got this body. Bhagavan is also living being, we are also living. Bhagavan has got creative energy, we have also creative energy. But the difference is, he is very great. Ekaja bahunam vidadhati kama. When Bhagavan creates this whole universe, he does not require anyone's help. He creates the sky, from the sky there is sound, from the sound there is air, from the air there is fire, from fire there is water, and from water the earth is there.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Bala Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Bala Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Bala Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare